One of the big things is that the trades have to increase the amount of people that understand how to go out and do heating and cooling, electrical, roofing, concrete work, forming, framing, and contracting, construction management. And there needs to be more people in the trades going out there and building single-family homes. Houses of Congress on Tuesday introduced a bill to ban hedge funds from buying single-family homes. Now, Senator Jeff Merkley proposed a bill called the End Hedge Fund Control of American Homes Act of 2023. What does this mean exactly? The way it reads currently, according to the New York Times, is that corporations, partnerships, or REI trusts that manage funds, pooled investments from individuals, which means like you as an individual, if they go out and they raise capital to utilize that capital within a hedge fund, if you're a corporation, a partnership, or a real estate investment trust, you're considered to fall under the guidelines of this new act and being prevented in buying additional single-family homes for investment purposes. In fact, one of the things that the bill actually proposes is that all investors that are either corporations, partnerships, real estate investment funds that manage these funds are to sell off their inventory within a 10-year period. And it's not just like a 10-year window. What they're imposing is steep tax penalties within that 10 years to almost force you to sell your homes. So much so that it is almost unconstitutional, because in a country where we live under capitalistic laws and bylaws that our forefathers set for us, they're saying you can't do this any longer. Now, I understand the mythology behind it, what they're trying to propose, because they're sitting back going, okay, you take a look at this from an investment perspective or a new home buyer perspective. Let's look at this. Let's try to look at this non-biasedly. And I am 100% biased as an investor, as a real estate developer. I'm 100% biased. So let's just lay it on the table in that regards. But with that said, you be the judge of whether this is super controversial or not. And I'd love to see some comments down below and just get some feedback from you on what your thoughts are as I migrate through this video. Because one of the big things that I want to talk about is I want to talk about what they're actually proposing, or is there an ulterior motive to what they're doing? And I want to give some backing and proof to a little bit of what I'm talking about here, and some perspective and light to the reality behind it. Because one of the big things is, alongside of the End Hedge Fund Control of American Homes Act of 2023, the Democrats introduced the American Neighborhoods Protection Act. So let's talk about how these kind of run in parallel to each other, and what they would, and what exactly is the American Neighborhoods Protection Act. Well, it prevents corporations from owning 75 units of single-family homes. And if they do land up owning over 75 units of single-family homes, they are proposing that the corporations have to pay $10,000 per year. This is annually, per home, as a penalty that is supposed to go towards down payment assistance for families that need single-family homes. Okay, so when I think about this as an investor, almost immediately my brain goes, okay, you want to play that game, Congress? Here's what we'll do. If you guys impose this, which I don't believe that these will go into effect this year, because I think there's split parties, and I think there's some working out that both the Democrats, Republicans, the House, and the Senate have to work out in order to even make this work. But I sit back and I go as an investor, I say, okay, if this does go, the way I would protect myself from it is through simple corporation laws, asset protection laws, where we would go in, and if we were imposing 74 units, and we would stop at the 74 unit mark and say, okay, we box this, new corporation. And we would set up entities that would control us from going in and having over 75 units corporation, and set up the ownership groups differently to protect us. Now, we have to see these bylaws in order to be able to do it, but good asset protection attorneys, good will and trust attorneys that specialize in asset protection can help you read through the fine prints and the loopholes of these codes to be able to set yourselves up financially. So before you get all worked up, angry, and mad over this stuff, if you are an investor and you're watching this and you're working towards putting a portfolio together of 75 homes or greater, which if you are a single family home investor, you should be, because until you get to over 100 units of single family homes, you're not attractive to the institutional buyers, which is what they're actually trying to prevent right here. Now, here's why. Because an impact study was done in 2022 where there was a divided Congress that went in and they said, look, we need to see what is happening right now today in the market and who's buying single family homes. So they did an impact study in Charlotte, North Carolina. And what they found out of this impact study is they found out that 17% of homes that were purchased that year in North Carolina in 2022 were purchased by investors that were cash buyers, okay? They weren't getting mortgages. They weren't going into the mortgage pool, and they were purchasing these homes cash. Now, in June of 2023, a logistics company called CoreLogics, you guys may have heard of them. I've talked about CoreLogics a lot. They do data and analyst studies on our economics. Predominantly, what I'm interested in is real estate because that's our investors pool. And what they found is that 26% of homes in June of 2023, in spite of the market compression, were purchased by investors. And so that's a split pool of homes that were purchased cash and through mortgages, but 26%, more than a quarter of homes purchased were purchased by investors in June of 2023. So is this really a ploy? Okay, here's the controversial split, guys. Listen up. Is this a ploy that's saying, hey, too many homes are being purchased by investors because there's a need for homes? And is the real problem that we just need to build more homes? And for somebody that's been building homes for many years and now building a lot of multifamily rooftops, I sit back and say the problem is not the fact that homes are being purchased by investors because there is a big pull and need for rental homes. There's just a need for more homes in general. And as our population grows, the trades have to become more important, not only for building homes, but for economic development for individuals, young kids, young professionals, that's not being taught in school. And so one of the big things is that the trades have to increase the amount of people that understand how to go out and do heating and cooling, electrical, roofing, concrete work, forming, framing, and contracting, construction management. And there needs to be more people in the trades going out there and building single-family homes. The problem isn't the investors, ladies and gentlemen. The problem is the lack of housing. And one of the biggest controversies that I think really exists isn't the fact that Congress is mad that there's not enough homes for you. I think they make it sounds warm and fluffy on the outside, saying, oh, our poor American people. This is our generational wealth. It was taught to us to go out, work a great job, and go out with your money and put a white picket fence around your little white house and create generational wealth by buying a single family home. It's not going to create generational wealth for you, ladies and gentlemen. Owning a single family home over the course of time, I did it. I owned my first home for 18 years, bought it for $225,000, put about $75,000 worth of upgrades in it when I first bought the house. Then I went in and dumped probably about another $100,000 in upgrades over the course of owning that house. I was over $400,000 into that house and sold it for $475,000 18 years later, almost at a break even. I didn't create generational wealth over the course of 18 years that I owned that house. I landed up selling that house and dumping 100% of it into the house I own now, along with other capital that I did create wealth from by buying rental properties and investing it into those rental properties to pay cash for the house I live in today. And ladies and gentlemen, that is how you create generational wealth, is through entrepreneurship, is through capitalism. What our forefathers went out and put our Declaration of Independence together on and fought for our freedom for. And is it really just a ploy, ladies and gentlemen? And sorry for the controversial video, but I know you love this stuff. And if you like this content and want more like it, then just click below and subscribe to our YouTube channel and pound that thumbs up button. But ladies and gentlemen, is it just a ploy to be able to get the investors out of the market because they're paying cash And did they run numbers to figure out what 17% of the market pool that investors are bringing in cash purchases to the table would do to the mortgage and lending industry and the Federal Reserve on the upside revenue that they would get from single-family home buyers and the pool of lending that it would increase by opening up 17% of those cash buyers into the market as non-cash buyers and people that are actually getting single-family home mortgages. Interesting concept. I believe that it all has to go around economics and lending. And because the Federal Reserve is ran by our central banks, not by our federal government, it is a non-governmental agency ran by the Federal Reserve. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Jerome Powell is more powerful than our own president of the United States because he runs the Federal Reserve. And so one of the biggest things, ladies and gentlemen, is that our country revolves around economics, economics meaning money. And any time there's money pumped into an economy and there's a hindrance of 17% of our largest revenue that feeds the Federal Reserve, which is that goes towards housing, which is the number one asset pool in the world. And so as we look at this, and you compress a number by 17% of cash buyers being investors, I truly believe that it is not to open up homes to you, ladies and gentlemen, but more so to open up the pocketbooks of the Federal Reserve for more lending pool, to be able to print more money, have more people mortgage homes, and increase the ability for return on investments from the federal government on government-assisted loans to pay back the Federal Reserve. Now, I might just be crazy and maybe just talking about something. This video might even end up getting pulled from the internet. I don't know. All I know is that the End Hedge Fund Control of American Homes Act of 2003, I don't know everything about it. I can't tell you if it's total bullshit, but it does smell fishy today. And so, ladies and gentlemen, as you go in and you vote for these bills in legislation, whether they're passed or not passed, be careful on what's voted for. Make sure that if you're a real estate investor, and one thing that I know is that 95% of you guys, if you're watching this content right now, it's because you're interested in investing in real estate or buying land, building houses, and developing real estate. Advocate for more homes, not to restrict what our forefathers put together for us and what our country is built on, and that's capitalism. Fight for your freedom and always go out and make sure that you're taking advantage of what God gave you the ability to do, and that's to go out and live independently and go out and believe and work in capitalism and go out and continue compounding your success.